Donald Trump is heading to the Capitol tonight to deliver his first State of the Union address. Now, the last time he did something like this, they didn't call it the State of the Union, it's just a joint address after he was inaugurated. Afterwards, that, if you remember, was when pundits across the cable country declared that he had become president. He pointed to somebody's widow in the audience, kind of exploited her grief, talked about military heroism, and in that moment became presidential, according to the pundits. And in a way that I think they didn't mean it, there was some accuracy in that. There was something deeply American presidential about that. For the like days after, or maybe the day after that speech, Trump was kind of basking in the glow of this warm press that he had received. I don't remember the precise idiotic thing that happened right after that. Where the wheels started coming off and he was no longer getting that good press. It didn't last long because that's how Trump is. He just blows everything up, one day after another. But expect a replay of that. That speech was written kind of by what they call the New York liberals, or the Goldman Sachs liberals. You've got Gary Cohn, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Dina Powell, this crew of people who kind of recoil at the people who were at the Trump rallies, rather than having it being written by Steve Bannon, who wrote the inaugural address, which was famously about carnage and blood in the streets, and the world is going to hell, and Donald Trump is going to keep America safe, and it will be America first. So look for more of that globalist Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner wing to win out tonight, and look for him to celebrate the soaring stock market. Look for him to take credit for the tax cuts. I wouldn't even put it past him to talk about the DREAM Act and how he supports the DREAM Act and supports the Dreamers, because you have to remember that this is not somebody who's values a connection to reality. So he might just kind of mess with Democrats by bringing up immigration and saying it's something we ought to do about love. It could be, be prepared to see an unusually unifying and uplifting speech from a man who shows that he's able to read off of a teleprompter. Now, as we've seen in the past, none of that ever, or very little of it, actually translates into an agenda, and he goes right back to being the same Donald Trump he was.
But when a president attempts to keep the reins of power by sidelining investigators and prosecutors, intimidating them, it is Congress's job to do something about that. The execution of that job, a vital test, may be the ultimate test of the true State of the Union.
It's an interesting point and I think his politics and his approach to this question is really shaped by his experience of Watergate. And when I was growing up, I used to hear a lot from my parents and from other people about Watergate, and it was told as a story with a happy ending that showed that no one is above the law. There was definitely this sense that Watergate proved that yes, there are bad people, but the system works, and that you should trust the democratic republic that is the United States of America, that crimes were committed, the immune system kicked in, it kind of identified a pathogen and evicted it from the body. And so rather as making the case, it's an interesting one, that if the system can't do that anymore, does the patient die? I think that equally as important and kind of related to his question is what's going on with the FBI right now. And the press has been covering the resignation of McCabe, and in this sense, I do think that the interest in this story is quite warranted. Now, McCabe, who Trump pushed out, and who Trump said at one point on a phone call with him, ask your wife what it's like to be a loser, because his wife ran for a state legislative office in Virginia and lost. This is a bizarre man, our president. But this is not just a typical retirement. This is somebody who represents a kind of nonpartisan FBI getting pushed out by a huge faction of partisans is working to kind of seize the levers of power within the FBI, which is an extraordinarily powerful institution within our government. It's not an institution that was ever actually created or enacted by Congress. It was just created, and it just grew and grew and grew, and now it obviously it exists and gets funding from Congress, but it's never been legally created. But it has a massive amount of power, and if it kind of falls into the hands of partisan actors, the damage that could be done to the system is extraordinary.